Hello again. Today we have Trevor Steele here with us, and he's going to present his latest book called Fatal Empires. And we're going to ask him a few questions about it, if that's okay.
Sure, go ahead.
So, Trevor, what's the background of this book?
Okay, the book is, among other things, an historical novel set in the last part of the 19th century when the European empires were competing to gobble up the rest of the planet. And there was a tradition among the, the thieves that if one of their citizens could live on an unclaimed bit of territory for 1 year with the flag of his country flying, then after that 1 year, his country could annex that territory.
Just one citizen?
Just one citizen, yes. And there was, as I said, an agreement among thieves, and it seems to me as though the character in my book was sent to Papua, which I call the Green Island, for the purpose of claiming it for Russia. And that's the background. So he spends half the book in Australia, but then he goes back to the Green Island at the end of the book. I had the ambition of presenting a slice of the whole cultural, historical, philosophical, religious flow of that time in the book.
Great. So how much is based on historical research and how much did you just make up?
Well, I was lucky enough to get onto the logbooks that this scientist kept. His name in Russian was Mikhluko-Maklaj. In my book he becomes Mikhluko-Maklaj. I was able to get his logbooks from Port Moresby and go through them when I was a student myself. And so I made a lot of use of his material, but then I shamelessly did what authors do. I left out, I added, I changed, and so forth, for my own purposes.
Okay. So one of your reviewers wrote that the book is mostly about religion. Is that true?
Well, it traces the political and religious evolution of this man himself. At the start of the book, he's just a pure scientist. He's a materialistic, atheistic scientist, and he has no time at all for politics or religion. But living among the natives of Papua, he's woken up. He realizes that there are spiritual things that exist. Also, his political conscience is woken. He sort of falls in love with these people and he doesn't want anybody to annex them, not even his own country. And so that gets him into trouble with his own government. And later when he comes to Australia, he's got a good post as a scientist. And he loses that also because he opposes the racist politics of the Queensland colonial government.
Oh, so quite a character.
Yes.
So is this book just of historical interest, or is it, would you say it's relevant today?
Oh, well, I think that imperialism is always relevant. The imperialism of today looks very different from that of the 19th century. But despite all the appearances, it's still imperialism and they're still victims, and that is very, very relevant today. I won't name the great country which is the main imperial power today. I think you might be able to guess it. But I think that, yes, and I also think that the religious issues which are raised in the book are still very, very relevant.
Now, Trevor, you've written a few books, and earlier you told me that this book, Fatal Empires, has a special place in your heart. Can you explain why?
Well, yes, partly because it was my first book. In Esperanto, it was called Sed nur fragmento, but only a fragment. I had always wanted to write, but for many years, more than 40, I thought I didn't have anything new to say. But having read this man's logbooks and so forth, I thought, now there's the stuff of a novel that nobody's written about. And so I wrote that. And I distilled 40 years of my own life also into the book. I hope I have done that subtly enough to make it look as though Maklaj is going through these developments and not me. But yes, it was a very important thing for me, and as I said, it summed up my life to that point. After that, my books have come at shorter intervals, and there hasn't been the big development between one book and the next that there was between nothing and that book.
So quite a milestone in your
Yes, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Trevor. So please, ladies and gentlemen, Fatal Empires.
Thank
Go
you.
and get it.
Thank you, Shandor.
You're welcome.